Good evening, and welcome to The Current Debate, our weekly program where we delve into the pressing issues of our time. Tonight, we are tackling a question that affects us all. Should sugary foods and drinks be taxed more to combat the growing problem of obesity? Joining us to discuss this are two distinguished guests. Dr. Sarah Chen, a renowned public health advocate, who will argue in favor of such a tax, and Mr. Tomoko Tanaka, an esteemed economist with deep insights into industry impacts, who will present arguments against it. Our format will begin with opening statements from each guest, followed by 2 rounds of discussion and rebuttal, and we'll conclude with their closing remarks. Dr. Chen, would you please begin with your opening statement?
Thank you, Mr. Evans. The issue we are discussing tonight is of paramount importance to public health. We are facing an obesity crisis of unprecedented scale, a silent epidemic that significantly increases the risk of debilitating conditions such as type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and certain types of cancer. The societal and economic burdens are immense, straining our healthcare systems and reducing quality of life for millions. In this context, proposing a tax on sugary foods and drinks is not a punitive measure, but a carefully considered public health intervention. Such a tax is designed to work on multiple levels. Firstly, it acts as a deterrent, making these unhealthy products less attractive financially, thereby nudging consumers towards healthier choices. Secondly, it incentivizes manufacturers to reformulate their products, reducing sugar content to avoid the levy, which benefits all consumers, regardless of their price sensitivity. The anticipated benefits are substantial. We project a notable reduction in the consumption of high-sugar items, leading to a gradual decline in obesity rates and, consequently, a significant easing of the pressure on our healthcare services. Furthermore, the revenue generated from this tax can be a powerful tool. It could be specifically earmarked for health promotion programs, such as subsidizing fresh fruits and vegetables, or funding educational campaigns about nutrition and healthy lifestyles. We've seen positive indications from other regions, like Mexico and parts of the UK, where similar taxes have led to decreased purchases of sugary drinks and prompted industry reformulation. This isn't a leap in the dark. It's an evidence-informed strategy.
Thank you, Mr. Evans and Dr. Chen, for outlining your perspective. Let me be clear from the outset. I, too, acknowledge that obesity is a serious public health concern that requires diligent attention and effective strategies. However, I am deeply skeptical about whether a tax on sugary foods and drinks is the most efficacious or equitable solution to this complex problem. My primary concern lies with the inherently regressive nature of such a tax. It disproportionately burdens lower-income households, who spend a larger percentage of their disposable income on food. This means the tax would effectively penalize those who can least afford it, potentially exacerbating existing social inequalities without guaranteeing a significant health improvement. Furthermore, we cannot ignore the potential adverse economic consequences. The food and beverage industry is a significant employer, and imposing such a tax could lead to job losses, reduced investment, and considerable strain on businesses, particularly small and medium-sized enterprises that form the backbone of our local economies. I also believe strongly in the principles of consumer choice and personal responsibility. Adults should be free to make their own dietary decisions without excessive government intervention that dictates what they can and cannot afford to consume. Instead of resorting to taxation, I advocate for a multi-pronged approach that emphasizes comprehensive health education, promotes physical activity from a young age, and encourages voluntary, industry-led initiatives towards product reformulation and clearer nutritional labeling. These are empowering, not punitive, measures.
Dr. Chen, how can we reconcile the public health ambitions of a sugar tax with its potential regressive impact on lower-income families?
That's a critical point. We propose that the long-term health benefits, particularly for lower-income groups who suffer disproportionately from obesity-related diseases, significantly outweigh this initial concern. Revenue generated could be specifically used to mitigate regressive effects, for instance by funding healthy food subsidies or nutrition programs targeted at these communities. Consider the substantial long-term savings in healthcare expenditure if obesity rates decline. These savings benefit society as a whole, including alleviating burdens on public funds. Ultimately, this measure aims to reduce health inequalities, not exacerbate them, by tackling a key driver of poor health outcomes in vulnerable populations.
Mr. Tanaka, Dr. Chen emphasizes long-term savings. From your perspective, is it economically sound to overlook the current and growing societal healthcare costs of obesity when arguing against such a tax?
It's not about overlooking healthcare costs, but about questioning whether this specific tax is the most efficient or fair way to address them. The immediate impact is penalizing those who can least afford it for their consumption choices. The assumption that tax revenue will be perfectly ring-fenced and effectively used for health purposes is optimistic. Such funds often get absorbed into general government spending. Moreover, if consumers switch to other untaxed but equally unhealthy products, or shop across borders, we achieve no health benefit, lose local business revenue, and still face those healthcare costs. This tax could simply shift spending patterns in ways that don't lead to better health, while causing definite economic strain on certain demographics and businesses.
Mr. Tanaka, you champion education and personal responsibility. Are these truly enough to combat a public health crisis of this scale?
They are essential foundations. A comprehensive strategy must robustly invest in public health education from a young age, promoting healthier lifestyles consistently. This should be combined with fostering greater industry self-regulation, encouraging innovation in healthier product reformulation, and ensuring transparent nutritional labeling. Sugar is just one element in a complex diet and lifestyle. A singular tax doesn't address the whole picture and isn't a panacea. I'm skeptical that such taxes induce meaningful, long-term behavioral changes, rather than just temporary shifts or cost absorption, especially without addressing underlying habits.
Dr. Chen, Mr. Tanaka questions the long-term impact. Can you offer more concrete evidence that sugar taxes significantly reduce obesity rates, not just purchasing habits?
Price signals are proven to influence consumer behavior, especially for non-essential items. A sugar tax makes the unhealthy choice less appealing financially. This tax isn't a standalone solution, but a vital component of a multifaceted public health strategy, creating an environment that supports healthier choices. Evidence from jurisdictions like Mexico and the UK shows decreased purchases of taxed sugary drinks and, importantly, significant industry reformulation towards lower sugar content, reducing overall population sugar intake. While isolating the direct impact on obesity rates from other interventions is complex, reducing a primary contributor like excessive sugar intake is a logical and impactful step towards that goal. Mr. Evans and listeners, the obesity epidemic is not a distant threat. It's a clear and present danger to our collective health and economic stability. The consequences of inaction are severe and far-reaching. Throughout this debate, I have argued that a tax on sugary foods and drinks is a necessary, evidence-informed, and responsible measure. It is a tool designed to gently discourage the consumption of unhealthy products, encourage manufacturers to offer healthier alternatives, and, critically, generate dedicated revenue for vital health initiatives. Our ultimate aim is to foster a healthier food environment for everyone, and most importantly, for our children, who are often the primary targets of aggressive marketing for these sugar-laden items. Concerns about this tax being regressive are understandable, but as I've explained, the long-term health benefits for lower-income individuals who bear the heaviest burden of diet-related diseases far outweigh the initial cost. Furthermore, revenues can be directly channeled to support these very communities. This isn't about penalizing individuals. It's about reshaping the environment to make healthy choices the easier choices. I urge us to adopt a long-term vision for public health. prioritizing the well-being of our population over short-term economic objections or ideological resistance to fiscal measures. A sugar tax is one important step towards a healthier future, demonstrating our commitment to tackling this crisis head-on.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. While Dr. Chen and I agree on the seriousness of the obesity challenge, we fundamentally diverge on the appropriateness and effectiveness of a sugar tax as a remedy. I maintain that such a tax is a flawed and punitive instrument. My key objections remain its regressive impact on those least able to afford it, the potential for significant economic harm, including job losses and business closures, and its unwelcome infringement on individual consumer choice. The evidence supporting the claim that these taxes lead to significant, sustained reductions in overall obesity rates is, at best, inconclusive and often contested. Moreover, we must be wary of unintended consequences, such as consumers switching to other unhealthy options or financial hardship for vulnerable families. I firmly believe that more holistic and less coercive approaches hold greater promise. We must redouble our efforts in education, promote personal responsibility, and foster genuine partnerships with the industry to innovate and provide healthier choices voluntarily. Complex societal problems like obesity rarely yield to simplistic one-size-fits-all solutions like a targeted tax. We risk oversimplifying the issue and implementing a policy that feels more like a penalty than a genuine solution. Let us advocate for policies that empower individuals with knowledge and support, that encourage industry responsibility, and that address the multifaceted nature of obesity, rather than resorting to measures that disproportionately penalize consumers and risk damaging our economy.
Dr. Sarah Chen, Mr. Tomoko Tanaka, thank you both for an exceptionally insightful and thought-provoking discussion this evening. You've presented compelling arguments from both sides, highlighting the significant public health imperatives, as well as the considerable economic and personal liberty considerations involved in the debate over a sugar tax. It's clear that there are no easy answers, and the path forward requires careful consideration of all these complex factors. We hope this debate has provided our audience with a deeper understanding of the issue and encouraged further reflection. Thank you for joining us on The Current Debate. Good evening.